calling State of Wisconsin versus Darrell E. Brooks. May I have the appearances, please?
Daisy and Zach Woodshaw appearing for the state.
I am here as a third-party intervener in that matter. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments.
Right, the record should reflect that the individual known to this court as the defendant, Darrell Brooks, is present in court. He's in custody, but he is wearing street clothes. He's wearing a suit and tie.
So for the record, I do not identify by that name or consent to being called that name.
So noted. All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have a 13th subpoena? As we discussed yesterday, you wanted to call 13 witnesses.
Yes, I do.
All right, can you hand that to the bailiff, please? I'll just take a look at it quick. Mr. Brooks, I'm reviewing this for completeness, and you have simply put on here State of Wisconsin plaintiff. That's an entity. You have to name a person, sir. The date. Well, the date we would fill in. So I'll have it shown to the state.
The legal basis why that would not be accepted, Your Honor. Is it not true that under the Sixth Amendment I have the right to face my accuser?
Mr. Brooks, let me hear from the state.
The subpoena does not state a person. Person requesting the subpoena is to indicate the witness's name and address. Mr. Brooks has simply written the word State of Wisconsin plaintiff. The subpoena should be rejected, Your Honor.
I object to that, Your Honor, on the grounds that every document that was filed in this matter stated that the State of Wisconsin was the plaintiff, which would lead me to believe that the State of Wisconsin is who's bringing the claim against my client. How could they not be subpoenaed to testify if they're the plaintiff? And under the Sixth Amendment, I have the right to face my accuser. My accuser in this matter is the plaintiff, which is the State of Wisconsin. Attorney Opper also brought up that it didn't have an address on there. None of my subpoenas had addresses, as we went on the record, and that was stated that a lot of the paperwork that I have don't have a lot of the people's addresses on there, and those subpoenas were accepted. So I don't see the difference with this subpoena not being accepted for the reasons that Attorney Opper just stated.
Based upon my review for completeness, this court would note you have not named a person, you've named an entity of the court record, but I'm not going to require the State of Wisconsin to testify in this case.
Are they not, or are they not the plaintiff, Your Honor? And why are they not able to testify, being that they?
Sir, you've named an entity, not a person. I believe that your Sixth Amendment rights have been complied with.
Not if I'm not allowed to face my accuser, Your Honor. My accuser in this matter would be the State of Wisconsin. And with all due respect,
I believe your Sixth Amendment rights in that regard have been complied with.
I'm requesting a written judicial finding of fact and conclusion of law on this issue for the grounds that I just stated. It was seen, based on the Sixth Amendment, that I'm not being awarded the chance to face my accuser, which I should be awarded that based on the Sixth Amendment. If I'm not able to face my accuser, then how can the claim even stand? How can a claim be brought against my client if I'm not able to face the accuser?
I understand where you might disagree with the court's ruling, but my ruling stands.
May I state for the record?
And I'm also not going to issue a written decision on that. The record speaks for itself.
May I state for the record, Your Honor, that I have not even seen a complaint in this matter, and the jurisdiction still has yet to be proven, which is another thing that needs to be challenged. There has not been proven that there's subject matter jurisdiction as of yet. There's no verified proof of it. There's no verified proof of even a claim, especially if I'm not allowed to face my accuser. And I don't understand how you can make that judicial decision, Your Honor, when it's clear discrepancies in the paperwork of this matter. Like I said, I have yet to see jurisdiction be proven. It has not been proven. I have yet to see a complaint. I have not seen that.
The court has provided you with, I believe it was the second amended criminal complaint, along with the information that was provided to you previously and noted on the record. I've already addressed your motion to dismiss. Your objections are noted. We will continue today with the jury trial.
For the record, may I respectfully move for interlocutory declaratory appeal on this matter, Your Honor?
Your request is noted for the record. I'm not an appellate court, sir.
For the record, may I move to stay these proceedings until this instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction.
Your request is denied.
Based on what law or fact, Your Honor?
I've previously addressed the issue, sir,
So
based
you're
on law of the case.
Are you making a judicial determination that I'm not awarded my Sixth Amendment right to face my accuser?
I'm not making any such determination here today. All right.
What law or fact?
I'm going to turn to the district attorney's office. Do you have a witness available?
With all due respect for the record, you're avoiding my questions.
Mr. Brooks, I've addressed the issues that need to be addressed this morning. I know you may be dissatisfied with the response that I'm providing to you, but my responses stand.
It's not a dissatisfaction, Your Honor. It's a lack of understanding, which I don't have. I don't even understand the true nature and cause of the charges, and I'm really asking why are my constitutional rights being prejudiced? Have any other defendant not been awarded the opportunity to face their accuser?
You are facing your accuser.
None of those witnesses are making a claim. None of those witnesses are the plaintiff. None of those witnesses are identified as the injured party. An injured party has to make the claim, Your Honor.
So it's my opinion that your belief as it relates to that is mistaken. It's not a lawful argument, and it's frivolous.
You're still not explaining how I'm not able to face my accuser, which is my Sixth Amendment constitutional right.
Sir, I'm not going to explain the law to you. I've made my decision. It stands.
I'm not arguing that part of it, Your Honor. I'm just merely stating for the record. I'm merely stating for the record that I should be awarded my Sixth Amendment right to face my accuser.
Your objection is noted, sir, once again.
None of the witnesses that testify are the injured party, which a claim has to be made by a living, breathing human being.
Sir, I think you're confusing civil law with criminal law. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm confusing. I'm not confusing any law. The Constitution says that I have the right to face my accuser, and under the Sixth Amendment, I'm not being awarded that constitutional right. I think that definitely needs to be on record, and that definitely is the issue that needs to be raised.
Your objection is noted, sir. If you believe I've erred in that regard, you can raise that issue on appeal if you are convicted.
May I put Your Honor on notice that I intend to appeal that decision? Is that a judicial determination? I will not be able to face my accuser, Your Honor. Will you be making a judicial determination?
I have not made any kind of determination that your Sixth Amendment rights have been violated. On the contrary, I believe this court has honored those rights.
Even with me not being able to face my accuser, which is the state of Wisconsin.
Your position is noted, sir.
Is that
noted for the record. I've already addressed it.
Is that a judicial determination?
Sir, the record speaks for itself.
Is that a judicial determination?
All right. I believe the jurors are coming out. All rise, please.
Are you going to answer that, Your Honor? Or is that a tacit agreement?
I'm not going to answer that further. I've answered it multiple times.
Is it a tacit agreement?
It is not.
Then I should be awarded my Sixth Amendment right to face my accuser. Or a judicial determination should be made.
Record to reflect that the jurors are coming in for the morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
The record should also reflect that I received no answer to that question.
We, several of us were wearing red ponchos that we provide to anyone who's participating in a parade. If they wish to wear them, we don't make them, but it's just another layer of warmth, and it then is obvious that we're part of the bank group with those red ponchos on. She is wearing a red poncho.
All right, permission to publish, or move to admit and permission to publish number 47, please.
Okay.
Exhibit 47 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Objection.
Come a point in time when you were marching in the parade when something awful happened.
Objection.
Parades, if you've ever been in a parade, are very loud. There's music, there's a lot of crowd noise. But something made me look and think, what was that?
Something unique, something that wasn't right.
Correct.
I believe no witness.
Did the SUV then pass around your husband's truck on the driver's side?
Yes.
Objection.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions at this point.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. For the record, I don't consent to that name. You stated that you were part of the parade as the Citizens Bank. Is that correct? Was that your first time participating in the parade, or have you done it before that evening? You said that you saw headlights from the vehicle that was approaching. Would that be fair to say? Do you recall if it was still daylight at that time? And what would you consider to be dusk? Still light, or do you recall about what time of evening that was? So from your recollection, it was more dark at 4:30 p.m. than light. And you also testified that the vehicle came 3 to 5 feet from you. Is that fair to say? Would you say that's pretty close? And you also said you weren't able to identify the color of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say? So my question would be, with the vehicle being that close, how were you not able to identify the color of the vehicle?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Were you able to see a license plate from the vehicle? So would it be fair to say that because of that same reason is why you wouldn't be able to identify the color of the vehicle? You also said you saw tail lights. Would that be fair to say? Were the tail lights bright? Would that for any reason be able to impede you from being able to see the license plates?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you recall where you, or let me back up, did you go inside of any buildings after the incident? About how close was the Nice Ash cigar bar to where you were participating in the parade? Would that have been on the side of the street that you were on or the opposite side? Do you recall if you were close to any intersections at that time? Do you remember any cross streets? Because you said you were in the middle of the block. Do you remember the cross streets or the next cross street that would have been ahead of you? Do you recall any side streets at all during the parade route? Do you recall if they were barricaded in any way? Did you observe any law enforcement standing at those cross streets? And you testified that you did not see the driver. Would that be fair to say? Do you recall giving any police report or being interviewed by any law enforcement? Do you recall if that was the same day of the incident or in the days following? So that would be around the 26th of 2021, November the 26th of 2021. Would that be fair to say? Do you recall why it would take almost a week to be interviewed or to make a report?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative, beyond the scope of the witness's
Grounds.
knowledge.
Grounds.
Also calls for speculation on the part of the witness. It's sustained.
Do you remember who the law enforcement officer was that you gave your statement to? You stated that you don't recall seeing the path of the traveling vehicle after it had passed you. Would that be fair to say? Did you see it strike anyone at that point? Did you see the vehicle strike anyone before it got to the location that you were at? Do you recall reading or seeing a complaint in this matter in any way?
Objection,
Grounds.
Sustained.
To the best of your knowledge, have you filed any claims in this matter? Would you consider yourself to be a party to this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
relevant.
Sustained.
Were you aware that it might be a possibility that you would be called to testify in this matter? Were you in fact subpoenaed by anyone to testify in this matter? Do you recall by whom?
By the state of Wisconsin.
And when you say the state of Wisconsin, who do you refer to?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you had any interactions with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds. Did you have any phone conversations or any physical conversations with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds. Do you even know the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
It would be fair to say, based on your testimony, that you were in fact called to testify by the state of Wisconsin.
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds. I didn't even finish the question. And I had the grounds on that.
Finish your question and then I'll rule.
Seeing as how that you were called to testify by the state of Wisconsin, it would be fair to say that you've actually saw the state of Wisconsin.
Objection.
Grounds.
It's vague.
Grounds.
Sustained.
To the best of your knowledge, would the state of Wisconsin be the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
And I had the grounds for the sustain.
Sustained.
Your Honor, with all due respect, the jury needs to know
question.
this. They deserve to know this.
Next question.
Are you aware that, to the best of your knowledge, are you aware that for a case, there has to be an injured party?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
As you said, the state of Wisconsin called you to testify. Did they at any time identify themselves as an injured party in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Reason for the sustain, Your Honor?
Continue, Mr. Brooks.
Any reason for the sustain?
It's sustained.
May I have the grounds, Your Honor?
Keep going, Mr. Brooks.
This is information that the jury deserves to know, Your Honor.
The jury is the judge of the facts only, and the court is the judge of the law. Keep going, Mr. Brooks.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Participating in the Waukesha Christmas parade that afternoon, sir?
Yes,
And what was your role in the parade?
I was driving the float for Citizens Bank.
And your wife Stephanie works for the bank, is that right?
Yes, I was volunteering with her.
And you said you were driving the float, is that right?
That is correct.
Were you driving a vehicle pulling a trailer with the float on it, or?
I was driving a Suburban pulling the trailer.
Okay. So you have a full-size Chevy Suburban,
Yes,
which is like a large SUV,
2019.
full-size SUV?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember during the parade something unusual that your attention was drawn toward?
Driving in the parade, I generally, want to know where my walkers are, so I'm always in my mirrors. You have to be very alert.
Okay. Now, you've driven in parades before.
Yes.
Because you're a good husband.
Yes.
Okay. And
Overruled.
the,
Go ahead.
thank you, Your Honor.
When I had looked out my driver's side mirror, that I saw headlights behind me, and I remember thinking briefly, what's the dance guy doing behind me? Why is he so far off to the left?
Okay.
Basically, when that thought was over, I heard the roar of an engine, and I was watching in my side mirror and saw a woman running kind of towards the corner of my vehicle, the back corner, in between, let's say by the tongue of the trailer, and we're trying to get to that point of my vehicle.
Okay.
And then saw the impact and heard it, as well as the roar of an engine. I heard and saw the impact.
Tell us about
If you
that,
ever
please.
heard a car hit another car, or an abutment, or a deer, if anybody's ever hit a deer with their car, you've heard it. I watched the body fly up onto the hood, and her head snapped back, and the body remained on the hood as it passed the side of my vehicle to where I thought I could have just reached out and grabbed her. The car veered kind of in front of me. I saw brake lights and saw what was Jane fall off the hood. He proceeded to, and she was basically on the right side of his vehicle, and he proceeded to run her over with the right front tire, then the right rear tire. And at that point, I was just focused on the body on the ground, but I remember hearing the roar of the engine again.
How fast were you going?
2 miles an hour. I thought my wife was the woman on the car. So you see your whole life going by you, in what you think is an act of terror because you don't know what's going on. And then the body's laying on the ground. And at that point, that was my only focus. My vehicle, I threw it in park and ran to decipher if this was really who I think it is.
Okay. Have my assistant play this video through for you. It's a total length of 15 seconds. Mr. Bonesteel, did you see yourself in that video?
Yes, I did.
Do you believe this video is a true and accurate representation of the events as you ran up to Jane on the
Yes.
street? Move to admit 46 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection.
Exhibit 46 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Objection be noted for the record, Your Honor.
My next thought was, oh my God, Addison's behind us. That's my daughter's good friend. And another friend was also there. And I ran back to find her.
With the Extreme Dance Group?
Yes,
Okay. Did you find those girls?
I found Addison. Sam had been struck.
Did you learn later that Jane passed away due to her injuries from this collision?
We did learn that later. My gut feeling in that was that she had passed.
You mean when you went up and saw her?
Yes,
You felt she was either dead or close to death?
yes.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions for you.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
I do. Whew. I apologize. I just needed a quick second. Put it together. Whew. At some point in your testimony, you stated that you heard, or rather you saw, brake lights. Would that be fair to say? To the best of your knowledge, what would be the only time you would see brake lights on a vehicle?
The point right before Jane fell off the hood.
I think you misunderstood my question. If you were driving the vehicle, would it be fair to say that the only time anyone would see brake lights would be if you hit the brake? So it would be fair to say that the only way that you would see brake lights would be if the driver of the vehicle hit the brakes. You did state in your testimony that you did not get a look at the driver. Would that be fair to say? Did you at any time see the driver of the vehicle? You did testify to, when you were describing what you saw, you referred to the driver as he. Any reason why you would refer to the driver as he if you did not see the driver of the vehicle? There's males, there's females.
There are singles and there are togethers. I mean, when you say we, it's the proverbial we.
So
Collectively, he would be along those lines as well.
is it fair to say that you could have just answered as we instead of he?
Objection.
Grounds?
Argumentative.
Sustained. Next question, sir.
Matter grounds on that?
It's argumentative.
Any reason why you would answer that question as he?
Objection. Irrelevant. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained.
Were you able to get a license plate of the vehicle?
No, I was not. I was focused, like I had said, on the body on the ground. So I did not get the license plate. I'm
After the vehicle had passed the vehicle that you were in, did you see the vehicle strike anyone after that point? Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was approaching your position?
clarify your question, please.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was approaching your position?
Yes, I saw it hit Jane
While it was approaching you,
while it was coming
or
up.
your vehicle rather?
Yes,
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone else in that moment? And you said you went into a building called the Nice Ash after that moment. Do you recall about how long you were in the Nice Ash? Do you recall about what time it was at that moment?
no. These are thoughts that you don't think about when you've been through something like this. I didn't sit there and note down times. I'm not trained in this.
Do you recall if it was still daytime or nighttime? Would it be fair to say from the Exhibit 46 video that you were shown that it was pretty clear?
Wasn't focusing on the sky. Please
that
clarify your
it
question.
was pretty much still daytime. You can see everything pretty clear. Everything was.
You can see, yes, it was clear. It was dusk. Lights were coming on.
Would it be fair to say you can recall lights coming on, but not the driver of the vehicle?
That's been answered, Your Honor.
Objection. Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer.
So would it be fair to say you were paying attention to the lights?
No.
So what would lead you to believe that they were in fact coming on at that time?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
The video that I
Hold on. There's an objection. I have to rule on it first. That's okay.
Do you recall the duration of time that you saw the brake lights? But you did in fact see brake lights. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, briefly. Sir, after you saw brake lights, did you see the SUV or the red vehicle that you described ever come to a complete stop?
no.
Objection.
Did you
There's been an objection. It's overruled.
Did you at any time see the driver of the vehicle pull over, stop, and get out to investigate what he or she had just struck?
Objection.
Overruled.
Did you ever see the vehicle come to a complete stop at any time?
Objection asked and answered.
Does
Sustained.
that accurately depict the corner that you were at to watch the Christmas parade?
It does.
I would ask the court to admit it into evidence and to publish it to the jury.
Objection. What is the relevancy of this particular exhibit?
Overruled.
Approximately how far to your left, as you're looking at the parade, was the vehicle when you first saw it, the red SUV that you've described?
Hold on. There's been an objection. I was mid-question, so if you could just re-ask it. I didn't hear it all.
Sir, how old are the children, your children that were at the parade?
Objection.
Overruled.
Can you put an arrow approximately where you think it was veering from and where it was going towards?
Objection speculative.
Overruled.
Did you take Ridley that evening for medical care?
I did not.
Okay. How did you know that she had broken toes?
So there's a couple variables that came into play there. We did not know at the moment. I knew that she had a foot injury, and I did the typical dad thing, and I downplayed the initial injury.
When she, after the car drove over her foot, did she still have her shoe on?
She had no, both shoes had come off.
Were you able to look at specifically the left shoe after the car went past?
I was.
Overruled.
Circle the orange star that's associated with where your daughter was struck. Thank you. And the approximate location that you observed the woman to your left?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
Can you again circle the area where you and your family were?
Objection already.
Overruled. He may do it again since it was cleared before we captured it.
Where you marked the circle to your left, that was associated with the same place where there's a name Jane Kulik?
Yes.
Overruled.
And where you circled to the right, there are 7 different names under Dancing Grannies. Is that fair?
Objection. Leading the
Overruled. You may
witness.
answer.
Yes.
Obvious.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part that you said, Mr. Brooks. Are you withdrawing that?
No, I'm not.
What did you say then?
I said it's pretty obvious from the picture. It's leading the witness.
All right. Your objections noted. It's overruled. His answers may stand.
I would ask that Exhibit 49 be admitted into evidence and published to the jury.
Objection.
For the record, how long is the video clip?
It is 8 seconds.
All right. Thank you. Exhibit 49 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Thank you.
Objection. Noted for the record, Your Honor.
It is.
Do you recognize that as being the intersection you and your family were at?
Just forward of our location, yes.
So as you're looking at this, would it be, as you're looking at the screen to the left?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Sustained is the form of the question. If you would please rephrase.
And the person taking the video, are they on the same side of the street as you are or a different side?
Objection. Sustained.
Overruled. You
Looks
may
to be
answer.
the same side as our street.
Okay. I would ask the court to admit exhibit number 50 and ask that it be published for the jury.
Your objections noted. Exhibit 50 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
So we're going to start at 0 and just go through the 11 seconds. Sir, is that the red SUV that you previously described as striking your daughter?
It is.
And that white vehicle that you saw in that frame, was that the vehicle that you saw that was impeding your ability to see it initially, or is that a different vehicle?
Overruled. You may answer. All right. Any questions for this witness?
Yes. Do you remember what time it was when you observed the vehicle? You stated earlier that you saw the vehicle clip the corner. Would that be fair to say? And what do you mean by clip?
Come into contact with children that were in the front of that group of kids.
Is that how you would define clip? You stated also that it veered quickly away from, I'm guessing, that corner. What do you mean by veered quickly away?
The vehicle at one point was coming straight at us, and then the next moment it was heading 45 degrees back on the original route.
So it's fair to say if the vehicle did not quickly veer, as you say, it would have ran right into the people on the corner.
That's a fair statement, yes.
Is it also a fair statement to assume that the vehicle veered quickly away from that because it didn't want to strike the people on that corner? Grounds.
Speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Calls for speculation on the part of this witness.
In your opinion, why would the vehicle have quickly veered?
Objection again.
Grounds.
Speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained.
If you were driving the vehicle and were able at any time to see people directly in your path, would you veer away?
Objection. Relevance for this
Grounds.
trial.
Sustained.
And I had a grounds for the sustain?
It's not relevant for this witness to answer that question. Calls for a hypothetical that he has not been qualified to answer.
Did you get a look at the driver of the vehicle? Did you get a license plate number of the vehicle? Did you see any tents on the vehicle that you recall? So it'd be fair to say that with you focusing on the kids, it would be difficult to describe the vehicle at that point.
Outside of it obviously being a red SUV in my mind as I saw it come down, I couldn't recall any other details about the vehicle.
So it'd be fair to say the only thing you can recall about the vehicle was the color of it.
That it was a red SUV, a larger vehicle.
So the color of it.
Correct.
You stated that you initially waited before you seek medical attention. Any reason why you would wait? You stated you did the father thing, as you put it, and downplayed the significance of the injury. Any reason why you would downplay it? It would be fair to say that the language you used was you downplayed the injury. Would that be fair to say?
Yep.
After the vehicle passed you, did you observe anyone being struck? Before the vehicle approached, did you observe anyone being struck? You also stated that at one point after you were observing the path of travel of the vehicle that it felt like it was straightening up into the middle of the parade route. Would that be fair to say? What do you mean by it felt that way? So would it be fair to say that you really don't recall?
And I certainly recall the vehicle heading back down Main Street, down the middle of Main Street.
I'm referring to you saying that what it felt like as opposed to what you recall it doing.
I used the incorrect term there. When I said felt, it was more of the word choice of recall I should have used.
And you stated that you would estimate the speed of the vehicle to be about 25 miles an hour?
I said 25 to 30 miles per hour.
So somewhere in between that.
Correct.
And you also stated that it was the vehicle was about 30 feet away from you. So how could you come to the determination of the speed? It felt like that was the speed. Is the term you just used again, felt. It felt like it was going that speed. So would it be fair to say, based on what you just said, that you're not trained in speed analyzation, that would it be fair to say that you don't know exactly the speed of the vehicle?
Objection.
Grounds.
Answered.
That's based on what he
Hold
said.
on, you asked multiple questions, so I'm going off of the very last question that you asked. And that is, would it be fair to say that you don't know the speed of the vehicle? To that question, the objection is overruled and the witness may answer.
Did you notice any damage to the vehicle at that point that it passed you? Do you recall if you may have seen anyone else present in the vehicle? Did you ever make any statements to law enforcement after the incident at any time? You recall if that was the same night of the incident or in the following days after? Do you recall if it was a few days after or maybe a week or two? Any idea of why it took so long for you to give a report? You and your wife, rather, to give a report? Did you initially initiate the contact with attempting to file a report? Did you do any follow-up after that initial contact to see if maybe your report had been filed or anything like that? Do you recall who you talked to from the DA's office?
I don't recall.
Do you recall do you recall being told that you may be called to testify in this matter? Were you seeking to testify in this matter? So you didn't have any intention to testify in this matter before being subpoenaed. Have you read or seen any complaint in this matter?
Objection made.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you or your wife filed any claims in this matter, referring to being an injured party or anything of that nature? That would be in regards to the medical bills.
For my daughter, correct.
So would it be fair to say that you have a financial interest in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be an injured party in this matter? So you weren't injured in any way in this?
Not physically injured, no.
Are you aware of the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection. Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Ever had any contact with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Vague. Sustained.
Ever had any phone conversations or personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Again, with regard to the nature of the question, it's vague.
Sustained.
I don't believe that's vague, Your Honor. I asked specifically if there were any phone conversations or personal interactions. I don't think that's vague. I think that's pretty clear.
Sustained.
And I also believe the jury deserves to know if there is a plaintiff in this matter.
Your objection's noted. It's to that particular statement. Your statement is noted. To the objection from the state, it is sustained. Next question, please.
Are you aware if there even is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
May I have the grounds for the sustain, Your Honor?
Relevance.
I would object and say that it's very relevant. Again, citing
Your
that.
objection is noted. Next question, please.
Were you ever contacted by anyone who identified as the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's still vague.
That's pretty clear, Your Honor. The jury deserves to know this information.
Mr. Brooks, the objection has been sustained. Next question, please.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Briefly. Sir, at cross-examination, you had testified that you did not see any brake lights. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Objection.
Ground.
Relevancy.
Overruled.
Sorry, correct, yes.
Okay. You testified further on cross-examination that you observed the red SUV strike an individual to your left. Is that correct?
Objection. He also stated that he was focused on his children and not focused on...
That's an argumentative statement. What's the legal basis for your objection, Mr. Brooks?
That is hearsay.
Overruled.
After you saw her on the ground, did the red SUV stop?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
Was there anything that you could see in the roadway that would have prevented that red SUV from stopping before it started veering towards your group?
Objection. Hearsay. He didn't see.
The objection to hearsay is noted. It's overruled.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Certainly. Did you see anything in front of you that would have prevented the red SUV from stopping as it passed that car that obstructed your view initially?
Objection. Irrelevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
I was watching the parade and it continued on towards the dancing grannies. Was there anything that you could see that would have stopped the red SUV?
Objection. Who is the he you're referring to?
I don't understand the objection. Were you done asking your question?
I was.
Overruled. You may answer.
I don't consent to being called he. We don't even know the he that's being referred to.
Overruled.
The witness didn't identify a he.
Overruled.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right. Thank you. You may step down. This will be an excellent point to take our mid-morning break. All right, we are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before. Madam Clerk, have the jury come out, and the state should be ready to call its next witness.
Still appearing by a third party for my client in this matter as a living human being. Also would like for the record to address subject matter jurisdiction again, Your Honor, if you would like to answer that now.
No, I would not and will not.
Is that a judiciary determination?
The record stands. I've previously addressed that issue.
So you will not be answering that.
All right, the record should reflect the jury is coming in.
Is that a tacit agreement again, Your Honor?
I'm not answering that.
So is that a yes or no? I'll take that as a yes for the record, Your Honor.
That's not either, sir. I'm not answering
You didn't
that.
reply. Remember, non-response is consent.
Do you recall where you were seated or standing?
We were on the corner by the steaming cup.
I'm going to ask that Exhibit 51, which was previously admitted into evidence, be published to the jury.
Objection.
Permission granted.
Ma'am, do you see the area highlighted on the screen in front of you? Actually on the table right in front of you.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Can you circle or put an X in the area that you and your 3 kids are at? And at some point, were you standing? I'm sorry.
I was standing and my youngest was in a stroller with me.
What was that the approximate area that your kids were standing?
Even out probably a little bit further than where I circled.
Did anyone raise a concern about where they were standing at some point during the parade?
There was concern about it. A police officer had come by and actually moved all the kids back a little bit. And there was another mom there, and her daughter was near my kids. And she had actually said to me, gosh, they're out a little bit far. And I said, everything's going so slow, they're not going to get hit. They'll be fine.
Nothing further. Oh, sorry. Nope. We'd ask that a screenshot be taken of State's Exhibit 51. I believe that would be 51A.
Objection.
And we'd ask that it be admitted into evidence.
Objection.
Overruled.
My objection was to clarification on whether she was done or not.
I believe it is 51A. It is also captured, and did you move that one in to evidence?
Thank you.
Sorry, did you move 51A?
I did.
All right, and 51A is also received.
And the state would have no other questions for this witness. Thank you.
All right, any questions, sir?
Yes. You stated a few minutes ago that at one point before the vehicle came through that you were having a conversation to the effect of things were going slow, they're not going to get hit.
I never said I was having a conversation.
Well, let me back up. Who were you talking to when you said everything's going slow, pretty slow, they're not going to get hit?
Another mom.
So would it be fair to say that's a conversation?
Yes.
And why did you make reference to getting hit at that point?
Because I didn't expect my kid to get hit at a parade.
So you had already made the determination that they were going to get hit at a parade at that point?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative, sustained. You do not have to answer that question.
Why would getting hit be in your head at that point?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer the question.
It still doesn't quite answer the question because the statement was things are going pretty slow, they won't get hit. What prompted the statement they won't get hit at that point? So it'd be fair to say that the initial concern was from another parent
Correct.
and not yourself.
I wasn't worried about my kids getting hit at a parade, as I shouldn't have been.
You stated also that you dropped your other kids off before seeking medical attention. Would that be fair to say? Any reason why you didn't seek medical attention immediately? You also just stated that you dropped your other kids off. And
My house is on the way to the hospital, so I dropped 2 of my children off so they wouldn't have to sit at the hospital.
So your attention at that point was to seek medical attention.
I sought medical attention.
Was
Yes.
that your intent?
that's what I did.
Was it your intent?
Objection, I already missed it.
Grounds.
Sustained. Asked and answered.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the parade? You recall what time you left the parade? Were you at the parade with anyone other than your children at that time? Before you were able to see the vehicle that struck your son, or was it your son?
Yes.
Before you saw the vehicle, did you observe anyone else struck before that moment? After that moment? About how long did it take you to gather your children up before? Do you recall how long you were treated at the hospital? Were you ever told at any point during your waiting process that you probably could have went to another medical facility?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
You recall giving a statement to law enforcement? Do you recall if it was the same night of the incident? And did you follow up on that report at any time?
No, I didn't.
Any reason why? It would be fair to say, would it not, that after making a report to law enforcement, you would want to follow up maybe to see what's going to be done about the report. Would that be fair to say? So it'd be fair to say you just gave the report and then just left the rest up to law enforcement.
Sure.
And I'm assuming that law enforcement at some point got back in touch with you. Would that be fair to say? Do you recall about when that was? Do you recall if it was a detective or a regular officer? Do you recall the name of the detective? Were you at any time given a card by the detective to be able to keep in contact? Do you recall if your interview was written down as a summary or if it was recorded? Did you file any claims related to this matter? Ever read or saw a complaint in this matter?
No.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Whom were you contacted by in regards to possibly testifying in this matter? Were you subpoenaed? Do you recall who that subpoena was from? So it would be fair to say that you received a subpoena and never read who it was from. Would that be fair to say?
From the state of Wisconsin.
When you say the state of Wisconsin, who are you referring to?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Not relevant.
Will you consider yourself an injured party in this matter? Have you filed a claim in this matter in any way?
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Not relevant.
Are you aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Ever had a conversation with the plaintiff at any time in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Have you ever had any phone conversations or personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, vague.
Grounds.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Are you aware of the identity of the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Not relevant.
Grounds.
It's not relevant. Sustained.
Are you aware if there is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
On relevance grounds.
With all respect, Your Honor, the jury deserves to know this information. We're withholding important information from the jury. They deserve to know this.
The jury will disregard the statement made by Mr. Brooks as not being an accurate statement of the law. Next question.
So to the best of your knowledge, you're not aware of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Mr. Brooks, please move on to another topic under 906.11. You are hereby advised that if you do not move on to a new topic, I will close the cross-examination.
With all due respect, Your Honor, this is important information the jury deserves to know.
Mr. Brooks, ask a relevant question, please.
That holds a lot of relevance, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, one last opportunity to ask a question. Otherwise, the court will declare the cross-examination closed under 906.11.
No further questions.
I can direct your attention to November 21st of 2021. Were you at the Waukesha Christmas Parade on that date?
I was.
Who were you with?
I was with my family, my wife, and 3 children.
And by chance, were you with Ed Harris?
Yes.
And did Matt have his...
Hold on, overruled.
Using Exhibit 51, when you state that this red SUV was coming at your group, can you, and I don't know if you can you show the direction of travel using this exhibit?
Overruled.
And where specifically was the car coming from? Was it coming from, as you're looking at the car, was it coming from the left side of the road or the right side of the road?
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. It
Yes.
is captured. We'll save it as 51B.
I'd also ask,
I'm sorry, was there an objection?
Yes.
The basis for the objection?
Relevancy.
It is relevant. 51B has been captured, and I believe you had a statement about it.
yes, I'd ask that be moved into evidence.
It is received. 51B.
The objection be noted for the record, Your Honor.
It already has been.
You said Kelsey flew approximately 15 feet into Clinton Street?
In estimation,
Your objection is noted.
Already answered.
What was the objection?
That was already answered.
That's not my recollection, so it's overruled. I believe she was seeking clarification or additional details.
Can that be clarified? I'm going to the question.
No, go ahead and ask your question, Attorney Basie. Your objection's noted, it's overruled.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Go ahead, Attorney Basie.
So you looked eye to eye with the person who hit your daughter.
I did.
Did you see him in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's
And
seated
I'd ask
in.
that Mr. Brooks take off his face mask.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
He is seated at the table, located over here. He's got a gray suit on, a blue shirt, and a tie.
Let the record reflect that witness has identified the defendant, Darrell Brooks.
Objection, I do not consent to being called that name, nor do I know any individual by that name, Your Honor.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified the defendant as the driver of the SUV that struck his daughter.
May my objection be noted for the record as well, Your Honor.
So you indicate that you were friends with Matt Harris and his family?
Objection, relevancy
Overruled.
to this particular witness.
Overruled. It goes to context and
Grounds.
background.
Grounds for that.
Context and background. It's also relevant.
That's correct. We are.
And you say that Brindley was standing near Kelsey when Kelsey got hit?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
And did you see Brindley after November 21st?
Yes, I've seen Brindley after November 21st.
Shortly after November 21st of last year?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did she have any type of medical dressing on her at that time?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Grounds for that.
It's
Overruled.
relevant. All right, thank you. Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes. You may claim that you locked eyes with the driver of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say? And approximately how far was the vehicle from you when you supposedly locked eyes?
I would estimate it 20 feet.
Would it be fair to say that that's about as far as I am from you now? Or was the vehicle further than where I am now from you?
Probably a little bit closer.
And what do you mean by a little bit closer?
Perhaps halfway, maybe three-quarters of the way between where you're seated right now and where I'm seated right now.
What would be 3/4 of the way? Can you like point about where?
Again, I estimated it about 20 feet. So
Would it be fair to say that halfway between you and I would not be an accurate statement of 20 feet?
Objection or
Grounds.
argumentative?
Overruled. He may answer the question.
that's why I said it was about 3/4 of the way.
So about what spot would it be? By this black, I guess, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a door.
Electrical box.
Excuse me, what is that?
It's an electrical box.
Would it be by this electrical box? Would it be this square directly next to the electrical box? I mean, what would you say would be 3/4 of the way?
So the electrical box would be a good estimation of the distance. However, it was a little further to my left than where the electrical box was because it was coming at us at more of
So
a...
it would be a little further this way, coming back towards the table here.
Your Honor, I just ask that the defendant allow the witness to answer the question before he asks the next question.
And I agree. The record should also reflect that as the witness was answering the question, he was motioning with his left arm in a direction outstretched kind of from front of his body to the left of his body, probably at a 45-degree angle to demonstrate that his observation of the vehicle was in that direction. You may ask the question again then so the witness can answer from there.
So you would estimate that it was in relation to where the electrical box is, probably approximately around like this general area right here?
To my direction, probably a little bit to the left of there.
Just so the record is clear, Mr. Brooks is standing up at his table. He's pointing what would be pretty much directly in front of him, but to my left of the electrical box. We have large squares of carpet and would be a square and a half to the left, my left, Mr. Brooks' right.
For the record, I'm a third party, Your Honor. Like that stated for the record, I don't identify by that name or consent to being called that name, Your Honor.
Your lack of consent is noted. Next question, please.
Your Honor, just for the record, I don't think some of the jurors in the back can see the black electrical box.
Sure, why don't we have our
Just
chair stand for a moment so that we can be clear that they're seeing that. Thank you. All right. So the record should reflect that the jurors are all standing to take a look at where the electrical box is and, of course, the squares of carpet next to that. All right, thank you. You may be seated. Next question, sir.
And you would say from that general distance, you were able to clearly lock eyes with a vehicle that was passing you at a speed that you say was too fast? And do you recall if the vehicle had any tint? Were you able to, you clearly were able to make the color of the vehicle, would that be fair to say? And were you able to make out the make and model of the vehicle? And were you able to see if there were any occupants in the vehicle other than the driver? Did you get a license plates of the vehicle? Do you recall what the driver was wearing? So it would be fair to say that all you looked at was the eyes then and not the entire face. I didn't ask about pants, but
The witness answered your question. Next question, sir.
I would like to get to it, Your Honor. Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was coming towards you after it had passed you?
Yes, I observed the vehicle striking my 3-year-old daughter, Kelsey.
After that point, you stated that when the vehicle was coming towards you, it turned away. It was turning away. Would it be fair to say that that direction that it turned was turning away from you, but generally turning away from the area that you and your children were standing at that point in time? From your observation, why do you think the vehicle would have been turning away from you?
Objection.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Calls for speculation.
Were you injured in any way? And would it be fair to say that you would describe the scene as pretty chaotic at that point? And
Mr. Brooks, sorry to interrupt. How much longer do you have? The only reason I ask is there's some weather coming in and I've had some alerts and I want to make sure everyone gets to a safe location. There's a tornado warning, not for us just yet, but are they going on? All right, we're gonna take our lunch early then, and all rise for the jury. Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Brooks.
Well, finish my question.
You will. All right, let's bring the jurors out, and then we'll, Mr. Knapp, you can take the witness stand and be there when they come back in.
Still no addressing of the subject matter jurisdiction, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks, my previous record on that issue stands. I will not further be addressing it without a proper motion for reconsideration that complies with the statutes.
I just wanted to state that for the record. I'd like to apologize to the court. I'm not sure where I left off at. I'm trying to see if I took any notes that would get me back to where I was before the break. Do you recall making or being interviewed by law enforcement in the days following the incident? Do you recall what date that was? Do you recall if that was just to make arrangements for the interview at that time? You don't recall making arrangements to be interviewed and then approximately 4 or 5 days after that actually being interviewed? Do you recall being interviewed on November 29th of 2021? You made reference to Clinton Street being a cross street that was close by. Would that be fair to say? Do you recall if Clinton Street had any barricades? Did you go down Clinton Street at that moment? Did you recall any law enforcement being present at the Clinton Street side crossing, I guess?
Yes, there was a law enforcement officer on the south side of the street, and as I mentioned before, he helped save a lot of lives by pushing our children back.
Appreciate the extra commentary. Do you recall describing the driver as an African American male with long hair and facial hair? I have the summary right here of the interview that you gave with law enforcement on November the 29th of 2021. And reading from that summary.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Again, for the same reason I objected before. This is in a statement or a supplement by Detective Jeff Adent, A-D-E-N-T, in which he met up with this witness. This witness provided information to the detective.
I understand. I don't need the full explanation. I know you didn't fully get it out, but I think I know where you were going, so please rephrase.
Would the reference to the statement that I referred to about the long hair, if I was able to show you, would it bring any recollection of what you may have said during that interview? And I'm referring to the statement that reads, David, or yes, or wait, let me back up. Were there some confusion with your name in this report?
Not that I'm aware of.
It looks like the officer that was taking the report got a little confused on the name.
Mr. Brooks, you're providing a narrative, so that's not a question. He doesn't have the report in front of him, so please make sure you ask the question.
Do you recall reading from the summary, describing the driver as an African American male with long hair? Would it be fair to say that what I'm reading from is accurate statements made by you to the law enforcement officer?
Objection. For the same reason I mentioned.
There's a lack of foundation as to the question, so I'll sustain it, and if you are able to rephrase, please.
Can I show the witness his statements?
Not
Maybe
at
that
this
may may bring some recollection back of what was said in the interview.
I'll allow it. If you would give the statement to the bailiff, who can then give it to the state. I don't know if you have it electronically or if we want to use the document camera.
To refresh recollection, that's fine, but this witness says it does not refresh his recollection. I'm objecting to any questions after.
I understand.
Okay.
All right.
I object to that because
Hold on. Let's show. You've asked that it be shown to the witness. It will be shown to the witness. Is there a particular paragraph you want to direct his attention to, Mr. Brooks?
the paragraph that I referred to when he stated that the driver was an African American male with long hair.
All right. So, sir, just take a moment to review that. When you're done reviewing it, turn it over, and then Mr. Brooks will ask you some follow-up questions.
For the record, I don't consent to being called that name, Your Honor. For the record, I'm third party to the matter, Your Honor. From reading that summary of the interview that you gave with law enforcement, do you recall stating that the driver was an African American male with long hair? Would it be fair to say that the summary that is in front of you states that that's what you said?
Objection. It would be hearsay.
Browns, I'm stating directly what it says on the paperwork.
It's still hearsay, Mr. Brooks.
Is it fair to say that that's what
It's hearsay. So,
it's hearsay when it's right there for him to read?
Mr. Brooks, I direct your attention to the hearsay statute, all right, for a definition in 908.01 and the rule in 908.02.
So it's not a fair.
Sustained. Next question.
Do you recall if the driver had hair? Any hair whatsoever? Any hair on their head? Any reason why you wouldn't be able to see the driver's head? Because you keep making reference to the eyes. So would it be fair to say then that because you were so fixated on the eyes that it would be hard to tell any other features of the driver?
Wide eyes, black male, facial hair.
Would it being so fixated on the eyes, would that in any way make it hard for you to see any other facial description? Do you recall if there was anything on the driver's head, a hat or anything of that nature? You stated that it was a African American male. Do you recall a skin complexion? Was it a dark skin complexion? Would it be fair to say that who you identified today does not have a dark complexion?
I guess it depends upon the definition of dark.
What is your definition of dark? Because in all fairness, you said dark skin. So what would be your definition of dark skin?
Dark skin as present on my interaction with black males in the past.
So every black male that you've had an interaction with was dark skinned?
Again, it depends. There's different complexions of dark, and it depends upon what complexion or what your definition of dark is.
I'm asking your definition because you said dark skin.
Yeah, I would object to this line of questioning.
On
The
what
point
grounds?
has been made. This witness identified the defendant, Darrell Brooks, as a person driving the car. I think he's asked the question about dark skin. I think that this has been asked and answered.
Objection.
I'm going to sustain the objection as to the form of the question. I believe the way it's asked is argumentative. You may rephrase if you so choose.
May my objection be noted that I do not identify by that name, nor do I know anybody by that name. I don't consent to being called that name.
Noted.
Have you ever had any other interactions with any black males that were not considered dark-skinned by your definition? Have you had any previous interactions with African Americans that were not dark-skinned?
Objection to relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. It relates to his identification. He may answer.
As stated before, my interactions with black males before, there are different levels of complexion and color tones, darker versus lighter. And I have interacted with black males before that have been both lighter and darker skin tones, yes.
Would it be fair to say that you didn't give that clarification when asked before?
I don't understand your question.
Would it be fair to say that you did not give that clarification when asked the same question before?
What clarification are you referring to?
You strictly said the skin tone. You came to the conclusion that it was dark skin based on your interactions with African American males before. Would it be fair to say that that's what you testified to?
That I can identify the skin tone color is what I stated, and the person that was driving the vehicle had a darker skin tone.
May I have that paperback that he has? I might have a question from the chat. That specific part of it. From your recollection of the interview with law enforcement, do you recall stating that you don't vividly recall any acceleration? And just for clarification for the record, you did not see the vehicle strike anyone once it was past your location?
When it passed me, I saw the vehicle strike my daughter.
The location where you were at, you made reference to being near that intersection corner, I think it was. So once it was past that location is what I'm referring to. You did not see it, just for clarification, because that was a lot of commentary. For clarification for the record, you did not see it strike anyone else once it was past that location where you and your family were.
That is correct.
No further questions.
Any redirect? All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have made a determination that today we are going to break early, just given all of the weather issues that happened earlier today.